All right, friends, it's time to give you loyal listeners a discount on protein powder. You may or may not know, but I launched my very first protein powder 2 years ago. It's a grass-fed beef isolate with only 3 ingredients: grass-fed beef, either organic cacao or organic vanilla, and organic monk fruit. Now, if you don't want any of the added flavor and sweeteners, you can also just get unflavored. And no matter what flavor you choose, you're getting over 23 grams of protein per scoop, which is going to keep you full and satisfied between meals. I love starting my day with a Fab4 smoothie and breaking my fast with that much protein. It makes a serious difference in my cravings and blood sugar balance the rest of the day, and I've seen it with my clients as well. Now, I never thought I'd own a product company, but when I got pregnant with Sebastian, I realized the majority of protein powders were chemically extracted or enzymatically extracted, and I wanted to use heat and water only. I wanted minimal ingredients because we don't need those emulsifiers, fillers, or added vitamins, minerals, and probiotics. All of those additions increase the chances that it's not going to work for your body, whether it be bloating, digestion issues. I just wanted pure, clean protein to keep you full and satisfied so you could build the most delicious Fab4 smoothie. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud of the flavor. If you take a look at our reviews on Amazon, you'll see 5-star reviews for flavor. And that is key, because if you don't love your Fab4 smoothie and you don't love drinking your protein powder, you're not going to do it. It won't become a habit, and it's consistency that outpaces everything. So if you're here and you're listening and you want to give our protein powder a try, use the code podcast5 for $5 off your order. And let me know if you love it. My favorite ways to apply this protein powder is in my Fab4 smoothie, making freezer fudge, making chocolate milk, making hot chocolate, and throwing the unflavored into all my kids' baked goods. So let me know how you use it. Let me know if you love it, and share this podcast deal with your friends. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. As you know, I'm so excited to welcome my friend David Johnson to the show. He is the co-founder of Genexa. And if you've followed me on Instagram, you know that I'm obsessed with this company and everything that they're doing. So David, welcome to the show.
Kelly, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's such a pleasure. It's so nice to see your face. I feel like it's been years.
It has been years, but we've held each other close in our hearts.
Always. Every time I walk into Pharmaca and I see all of your products, I'm like, yes, thank God for Genexa.
And my wife attended one of your big things pre-COVID, so that was exciting. One of your big book signings.
That was fun. So it's good. We run circles around each other, and we all have our own personal missions, but in the same sphere. Yeah. So can we start from the beginning? You've started an over-the-counter, homeopathic and now over-the-counter company that is real medicine made clean. You are making clean, active and homeopathic versions of medicines that we can use and our families can use. How did you and your co-founder, Max, decide to start this company? Start us from the beginning. What was the idea?
Well, Kelly, I am that nuts and seeds type of boy that, lived on Hansen spritzers, like the spritzer you're drinking now, right? But, the Hansen spritzers, friends used to come over and ask for Cokes and Sprites, and it was non-existent in my house. And, instead of Rice Krispies, it was nuts as a snack. But I grew up very lucky to have 2 naturopathic, holistic parents that raised me, really understanding what I was putting in my body and how important it was. And my partner, Max, came from the complete opposite side of that spectrum where, anytime he had a cough or an allergy, he was at the over-the-counter shelf treating himself with drugs, and he would have terrible allergic reactions. And when we had our kids, it was like, we were driven by this category of over-the-counter drugs that was red and green and purple and unpronounceable words on the back of these packages. And we said to ourselves, why is 90 to 95% of these products just not necessary and not clean? And we set out to do something that neither of us had any idea of what we were getting into, but with the whole drive of we can make pharma cleaner, we can make medicine clean.
I love that. So was there a certain product that you were
trying to make, or something that a need that you or Max had personally that sort of started you on this quest?
So I think really when it came to Max, there was a lot of allergens in the products. He had, he was allergic to dyes, and he was allergic to gluten binders and things like that. And I have a family member who has some serious allergies to lactose. And when I realized that, a majority of the binders in these products is lactose, I was like, well, why do we have a lactose binder in allergy products or in, flu medicines or, fever reducers when, people need to use this. And if they're allergic, they can't use it. So, I think for us, it was, if medicine could be made cleaner and we take it at our weakest point in our lives, when we're sick or our kids have those red eyes that where we feel completely helpless, it's why would we deliver it the way it is if we can make it cleaner and we could remove the potential over toxicity or the call it the additives that are completely unnecessary.
What in your research did you find? I remember you sharing a study with me from MIT when we met in person a few years ago. What were some of the things that you were surprised to find in over-the-counter medications?
So, obviously one that we all know about is talc, and talc has been, recalled in many over-the-counter medications. The MIT article kind of got into how many of the dyes, specifically red dye, and how it has negative reactions in kids' mental behaviors, as well as just, not necessary. Pharmaceutical dye is something you could take and go paint a wall with, right? And, we kind of looked at that as, I'd rather give my kid an organic beet extract as my color versus, a red dye. We also found things like antifreeze that you use in carb because it's an easy binder when you think about the syrups and the liquids that are out there in the market. So instead of using, a carb preservative system that, doesn't freeze over, we decided it might be better to use organic citrics and, citric extracts from grapefruits and other things that can hold it over. So just, what we would want to put into our kids, we believe that the world needs that as well.
I love it. I love it so much because obviously, my personal story was Sebastian struggling with eczema, and it's one thing to go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what the culprits are, but to have your child have a flare that you have no idea what is causing it at the time. It was heartbreaking to get to this place where, all of a sudden his mouth and his face are covered in hives. And then you see it extend to his stomach and it looks like welts everywhere. And of course, I am in tears. I'm calling the pediatrician. Every mom's trying to do their best, but to turn around and have to give a regular over-the-counter medication that had these red dyes or flavors or gluten or lactose or binders and not know, is whatever caused that then going to be in the medication that I'm going to give him to clear this up for this moment in time, was heartbreaking. So, that's how I found you guys. And, Sebastian takes Genexa's vitamin D, and I want to get into your sourcing of that and why it's different as well. I think that's a really interesting story. Let's start with your first product. What was your first product to market, and how has your product catalog evolved over time?
So our first product to market was more in the homeopathic realm, and really what we decided there is homeopathy has been accepted now by many and not accepted by many as well. And I think, as Genexa stands, we want all consumers to be comfortable with whatever they want to take. Myself, I was an upbringing of not much medicine, but when needed, and my partner was the upbringing of not even knowing what a supplement was, but more medicine. And I think when we came together, it was kind of like, you've got homeopathy that happens to be the fastest growing sector of the over-the-counter market, at 14% so far year over year. And the consumer trusts it. And it's, there is a consumer that trusts it and wants it. But for us, it was about not just delivering a product that was homeopathic or, supplement or drug. It was the delivery should be cleaner. So we started with homeopathy because we could really focus on cleaning it up, making it gluten-free, vegan, not animal tested, organic, non-GMO, and really focus on the certifications that would help us remove a lot of the synthetics that were involved in the product. So we launched a kids cold product and an adult cold product. And those were our first two products into Erewhon, which, we all like to shop at.
Can you explain what homeopathy is? I think a lot of times when people go into a place like Whole Foods or Erewhon and they see medications, you can call them, or homeopathic remedies on the shelf, a lot of times we'll turn it over and go, we don't even know what these ingredients are. And I think probably the most common one that people use is arnica for
right.
bruising, and we know that, that our kid slammed his face into the corner of a table. We're going to rub some arnica on that. Whereas we all know the OTC, and we'll get to your story in the OTC market as well, for active ingredients. But what recommendations do you have for people trying to get involved or trying to understand the homeopathic market?
Yeah, I would say, homeopathy, the best way and the simplest way of explaining it is homeopathy is like clears like, right? So you're taking something that addresses the symptom that's in your body, and it's micro doses, but it's going to bat with your body to heal. Instead of, on a flip side, if you were to look at, a fever reducer, you're basically reducing the fever. You're not fighting that fever. So you're not really letting your body kind of, feel it out. Now, obviously there's times where both are required, but I think it's kind of like feeding your body with something that helps you fight within, but doesn't try to cure or get rid of the symptoms. So right. Over time, you'll get better by using it. And your body, our bodies are stronger vessels than bigger vessels that float on the ocean, right? I mean, we have a lot of power within to heal. So that's the best way I think, to explain it.
No, it's a great example. It's almost like chicken soup or eating foods rich in vitamin C is supporting your immune system to fight your cold versus taking an active cold ingredient to decongest or stop a cough or whatever it may be. I love it. So your cold medications over the counter that are homeopathic, would that be something that someone starts at an onset of a cold and then they're using sort of those traditional healing techniques like chicken soup and sleep and hydration and things like that?
Yeah, we like to say you started at onset of cold, or when you're thinking that you're getting cold, any symptoms, and you would take it throughout, and you would, have good old, chicken soup and bone broth and whatever else it is that you need, and maybe a good shake and good rich vegetables, and you get better.
I love it. So you went from homeopathic remedies and cold and flu style homeopathic products into the over-the-counter space with active ingredients. What inspired you to do that?
I think what inspired us is there's a consumer, the largest consumer of the US starts at the over-the-counter shelf. And for us, it was about putting people over everything and really educating that consumer at shelf, right? So, a lot of us have the knowledge of nutrition and you've taught yourself so much, Kelly, from, where you started to where you are now, which is highly impressive. But, not everyone can experience that personal growth of really understanding nutrition and what you put in your body and how it makes you feel. So for us, it was really about educating that consumer at shelf, teaching them that there's better for you products, and you should start reading your ingredients. And I think the whole movement of clean label, organic, not only from food to beverage to supplements to makeup, I think has really shifted that whole clean label movement of people want to know what they're putting in their bodies. So ours was, let's bring this to the masses and really give people an opportunity to give their kids cleaner medicine, take themselves cleaner medicine. And hopefully at the end of the day, no one, really needs to take, the medicine like they used to take the medicine. And if they're taking the medicine, why not have a cleaner option?
No, I love it. You're meeting people where they are. Yep. It's almost like you got to meet your people on the shelf with your homeopathic remedies. And then you got to meet all of Max's people on the shelf with all of the OTC remedies.
Oh, they're all our peoples.
but it is true, like to each of you to have your background and to just know, I mean, most of us obviously don't want to be medicating our children. We don't want to be medicating ourselves. We want to know what the culprit is of our allergies or the reasons why we get migraines or the reasons why, or we're just going to deal with stuff like colds and flus. And that's going to be a part of it, especially now looking at what we're going through with COVID-19 and, flu season coming up. It is, I think, really important to think about ways to increase our immune system, take care of ourselves, but to have all of these other options. And what I love about you guys, and you said it so eloquently, is like just pulling out the added fillers and the dyes and the things that you don't need because they are affecting your body. So can you dive deeper into how the nitty gritty of how detailed you get with product sourcing? Because Sebastian takes your vitamin D, and for all of my clients and anyone who's downloaded my free supplement guide, they know that Genexa vitamin D for infants and kids is what I recommend. And I'd love for you to go through how it was, like how you guys sourced your vitamin D and why it's different.
So I remember this sitting at that conference table in the back office at Genexa, having a conversation about our vitamin D. The vitamin D was kind of like a pet project. It was something that Max and I, our focus was really drug because it was an industry that, it's a massive industry. It's an industry where consumers rely heavily on the products, but the supplement market was not really a focus of ours. There's many companies that are doing great work within the supplement industry. But for us, it was, why could we not find an organic non-GMO vitamin D? And it was because the majority of vitamin D comes from something called calciferol, which is on the back. It comes from the skin, the sheep skin, back, the herd. And for us, try finding a non-GMO herd that you could get, this product from. So we ended up just going wild trying to figure this all out. And it ended up that we found a farm that we could source it off of, and we were able to source it, and we were able to basically get the first certified product out to market. And I think it's a remarkable product. And it's been one that I've given my kids, and I know a lot of people are giving their little ones as well. So that was definitely more of a passion project than anything else, even though this whole thing has been really, set on passion.
Well, it gives people a little bit of insight into sourcing, which I think is really, really important, specifically when you're talking about fillers, active ingredients, vitamins, anything that's going to have an effect on our body and that we're going to trust that the company that's serving it up to us is doing their due diligence. So I
think for us, Kelly, it's like you don't realize that blueberries taste really good when they're mashed up, right? Especially if you freeze them first, right? And then you get like that true flavor. So like, why not use that as a flavor instead of something, like a sorbitol with a blue dye, right? We just didn't know that it was possible. But, it's like, why not have a heartburn medication that, tastes really good, but is using, again, organic beet extract instead of red dye. It was kind of like a no-brainer for us. And obviously for us, it was about putting the consumer first and not necessarily the profit being the focus of making clean better ingredients.
I really appreciate that from a consumer standpoint, being a mom, but also being a practitioner that's recommending products to their clients. Because we can look at, like you just mentioned, your heartburn medication. That's something that I recommend for all of my pregnant moms who deal with heartburn and have never been someone who popped Tums, but don't realize that Tums And their competitors are one of the number one sources of aluminum in the diet. And that's something that can cross through the placenta and affect your child's development in utero. So, to have these options that you're providing and for people to just start to educate themselves on whether they care about understanding the nitty gritty or not, but to find a company like yours and to have, for me, you're a resource, which is why I love you and why I wanted to bring you on to tell your story, is that you make my job easier because I have options for people instead of saying like, you just deal with it. Like, deal with the heartburn. You're not going to be able to sleep. It's part of being pregnant. Just deal with it. You can't take this other stuff. It's like they're at a point, we're going to try our best to deal with things from a proactive, addressing the root cause of the disease sort of a thing. But there are times when we have to look at active ingredients. We have to look at over-the-counter options and use those. And you guys are offering those now. So let's talk about the OTC market, jumping into that, what you guys have available.
If I can just say,
yeah,
because, I think I appreciate that we can be a resource.
Yeah.
You've created as a resource to so many, and it's inspiring. So, I think for us, it's just awesome that we've connected and that, we've been able to influence, our own avenues, but really come together to make a bigger difference. Rising tide raises all ships, right?
Absolutely. So. No, definitely. And I'm forever indebted to Miss Katie Wells, the Wellness Mama, for making the introduction, because her heart's in the right place, just like yours. And just trying to get the word out, because I can't tell you how many times, I'm in Mommy and Me, or I'm on the Mommy WhatsApp chat from my Mommy and Me, and someone's child is teething and they're grabbing for the regular, whatever it is, name brand version of any type of pain reliever. And they, of course, you don't want to be giving your kids pain relieving medicine all the time. But if they've ever had a molar come in and you've seen those tears and you've had them shaking in your arms at 2 a.m, like, you want to give your child relief. And that needs to be a temporary option that doesn't make you have mom guilt, but instead you go, I looked at what was on the market. I chose the best option. I'm really proud of this. My child is comfortable. They're sleeping through the night. They're waking up. They're having a better attitude. We're having a good day. It's not, it's not forcing your child to go through something if they are truly uncomfortable. And I think that's where I think East meets West, and where you guys are making it really accessible for people. So let's go through some of the OTC options that you guys are just launching, because I've already talked about them in stories. So people follow me on Instagram. They're like, oh yeah, I know this now. But just what are some of the options, and talk about the flavorings and the minimal amount of fillers and what you need to stabilize an active ingredient.
Yeah. So this was, I know that when we talked 2 years ago, it was kind of like what we were working on. We hit a lot of roadblocks. And I think if Max and I had any concept of what it would take to hit the hurdles you have to hit to launch these products into the marketplace, we would have probably never have started. And it was just a complete drive to make a difference in this marketplace. And that, the first product we started with was a pain and fever. So active ingredient acetaminophen, which is, the most common used with ibuprofen on the market today. A very, very significant, product that the majority of every consumer is well aware of and uses it. And it was, most of the competitors have, anywhere from 15 to 30 ingredients. And for us, it was about how do we do this with the smallest amount of ingredients, but also making sure that every one of those ingredients passed our test of just cleaner and better for you. Now, there's no way, Kelly, that we could have, made products that don't have any sugar or don't have, anything that, basically anything that no one would want to take. But it was how do we reduce what that other stuff is in it and really, replace it with the better for you ingredients. So We would use things like, we would use organic honeys and organic agaves and organic blueberries for our flavoring, organic strawberries for our flavoring. And our preservative system was the biggest challenge. So we basically had to create some IP around the preservative system so that we could hold shelf stability and have that expiration date that everyone looks at the bottom of a product when they buy it on shelf. So that was really the challenge up front. It was how do we stabilize these products on shelf without using the common found preservatives that other companies use in their products. So for us, it was, focus on the preservative. Once we hit on the preservative, then we can go across tablets and liquids and everything to really make all products for everyone. And that was focused really around extracts. So we focused more on like the citric acid, the citric extracts, like grapefruit extracts, orange extracts, orange peel, to really create a preservative system. Acids happen to preserve a lot of things, as we all know. A lot of people put lemons on top of avocados to hold them, right? But if you do it, focused on the chemical makeup of each of them, you can get a product to hold, which has allowed us to really gain that requirement from the FDA in terms of stability to put it on shelf. So the FDA requires 2 years of stability. So that was really the challenge. It was creating something besides antifreeze that could hold a product so that you could give it to your child and feel comfortable giving it to them.
Now, what are some of the preservatives other than antifreeze that someone might see on over-the-counter medication that you guys aren't using? Obviously, you're using natural fruit extracts, citrus and lemon and all of those.
Yeah. I mean, it ranges so much. I mean, obviously there's everything from talc to carcuculose sodium to, I can send you a list, Kelly.
I mean, we're not going to know all the chemicals,
we have
but it's just
list that's quite shocking. I mean, sometimes you'll find aluminum in these products, and it's. I think our calling is really like it's not that Genexa should be the only medicine that exists. It's that if Genexa can kind of shift the bigger Goliaths in the world to start thinking about what they're putting in these products, they should, and I think that would be a win.
Yeah, I mean, what you're doing is what's needed in so many consumer products, which when I look in the food space and I look back and I think about the dressings that were on the market 6 years ago, 7 years, 8 years ago, when I was working with clients, and there weren't options that used olive oil and avocado oil, that didn't have sugar, that didn't have maltodextrin or fillers or weird stabilizers and gums. Why would the big boxes change? Why would the big manufacturers change if no one's butting up against them and taking market share, saying like, this is what people want, this is what they're spending their money on, and they're not going to change unless they see people going away from their product, spending their money elsewhere, and voting with their pocketbook, really. And I think that's our responsibility as consumers. And that's why I get excited to introduce new brands or just to give options to my clients, is that I know now people listening, if they see your products on the market, they probably would have known Advil and Tylenol and Zyrtec, like all the other moms who've been through teething, who've maybe had allergies or whatever it is. And now when they see Genexa on the shelf, like at Target or wherever it's being sold, like they'll be able to say, oh yeah, that was from that podcast. And it's the same active ingredients, but it's just a cleaner option. And I think a minimalist approach and showing people that you don't need the gums, you don't need the fillers, you don't, you can do it with cleaner products is exactly what you're doing. Now you see in the food space, you see the Crafts or the Heinz or whoever it is.
They're all shifting.
They're either gobbling these little companies up or they're saying like, oh shoot, now we have to do something about it, which is how change happens. So that's other than like getting people to balance their blood sugar, eat a little bit cleaner, focus on whole foods, is knowing that there is a reality here in which people aren't going to make their own dressings. People are still going to buy over-the-counter products. We need options. We live in a quick fix world, and sometimes we just need this stuff.
We have a product, an allergy product, which would be, a diphenhydramine. We have a cough and chest congestion product, which would, be a guaifenesin and basically that addresses cough. We also have a honey cough syrup, which is, doesn't have any medicine in it, but really soothing. And then we have an elderberry product that's more of an immune support. So we really combined them all to bring kind of the top necessary 5 products to the marketplace for children.
I love it.
Outside of that, we have, in terms of the adult sector, we have great, indigestion products and a comparison to, Tums and a heartburn product and laxative products and just great products all around.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the catalog of offerings that you guys have, I love. I obviously want more from you. I'm cracking the whip. I'm just kidding. But it is
no way. Our goal is really to make a product for everyone across the whole over-the-counter sector and become, real medicine made clean for all.
I love that so much. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the future for Genexa, because don't you love when that happens? Like when someone has a baby and they're like, when are you going to have your next baby? Or you get married, they're like, when are you going to have a baby? You just launched these OTC products. And right. I'm like, what's next?
I did that before this call, Kelly. What's next? Genexa just launched, 40,000 stores nationwide, from Target to Walgreens, to Kroger, to CVS, to Rite Aid. We're pretty much everywhere, and it's exciting. I think we appreciate the retailer partnerships that we're getting. They see that movement of a clean consumer that's wanting to purchase better for you products, and we will continue to tell that story of being that, call it that little David versus Goliath pharmaceutical company that wants to make a difference and is focused on putting people over everything.
I love that. So any thoughts on moving into acetaminophen and allergy and congestion medication for adults?
Yeah, so there's a lot of thoughts around that. I would say, we were lucky. It's actually been remarkable for us, but we were lucky to just add to our board the past chairman of OTC Pharmaceuticals for Johnson & Johnson. And when he came on, he, it took some time, but once he recognized what we were doing, it was really exciting for him. And he's been not only an incredible mentor, but a true guide in terms of his 40 years at Johnson & Johnson and what he's been able to pass on to Max and I, and the learnings and the great research and development pipeline that we've created together is really it's revolutionary to a space that it has been tired and it's been sleepy for many, many years. And we look forward to making a difference in it.
I love that. I love the reference to David and Goliath, because it is, it's really overwhelming to come up against like the big box guys or the big businesses or people that have been around for years and years and years. And entrepreneurs always have stories of like when things didn't go great or what we thought was going to happen, or but you prevail and you push forward and you're resilient and you get through those things. Are there any learnings over the last few years that have taught you something or had you change your business in any way that has, like what lessons have you learned as an entrepreneur?
Deep.
For those listeners, because I know there are other, there's other little Davids out there that want to beat up on Goliath.
I've probably learned every lesson in the book, I think, but I've got a lot left to learn. I think it's that, always look for great, mentors, other leaders, great partnerships. Definitely don't believe that you know it all. And there's a lot of corners that you're going to turn. And the goal is to not get knocked out when you turn the next corner. So I think for me, it's been, I personally, I lost my father 2 years ago in the middle of the startup of this whole company, and it rocked my world. And I think for me, I just realized that, you gotta kiss your kids and kiss your family before you go to bed, because that's really what matters here, and why we're here. We have an opportunity to make a difference, and I think if we just take every day with that mentality, it will all work out. But as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that there's many sleepless nights and there's many tears that you cry, but I think with the mentality of it's really just about life, right? And living each day and having, whether you have a family or not, just staying focused on what makes you happy around you, and focus and do something that you love. Because if you're doing something that you love each day, you can make it powerful.
Absolutely. And with your purpose behind that, there's so much that can be done. Oh, David, I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. I'm so excited for all that is to come for Genexa. I'm just really, honestly, personally thankful that you have these products based on my personal experience with it, being a mom, being someone, a nutritionist and expert in the wellness space, and then having, my own personal trials and tribulations with a disease or an autoimmune condition, and watching my child go through that. I'm a mom first, and it's heartbreaking, and you just want to do right by your kids all the time. And you've made it a lot easier for me to do that. And I really, really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. I know that the last 2 years has probably been just a grind of figuring out your preservatives and your flavors, and probably cursing me in the background. But I just, if you can't find what you're looking for and it's not on the market, you have to be someone with the go get them willpower to go do it yourself. And you did just that. So I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for Genexa. I'm really excited for what's to come. So thanks for giving us your time today. Thanks, Kelly. And we got to create an eczema product together. Yeah. Well, you're definitely helping me with those immediate flares. I'll tell you that. Before we end the podcast, because I love body love, in your context, what does body love mean to you? Meditation. I mean, that works. I'm that works. I mean, when I think about it for you, I'm like, you're doing that. You're giving us body love. You're giving us products that don't hurt our body. Just breathing and enjoying. I like it. Reflecting, on the vessel that we are, like I said in the beginning. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, where can people follow along? Where can they find your product offerings? What stores are you in? You can follow us, you can follow us on Instagram, obviously, Genexa and Genexa. And you can find us in pretty much any store across America besides Costco for right now. And watch out, Costco. Us on Amazon and our website, and we're here to support. And if anyone ever needs medicine and they need it quick, just let us know. I love that. Well, thanks for joining. And I'm excited for my audience to know that you guys are available, who you are, and what you do. So thanks for your time. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for listening to Be Well by Kelly. Please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Learn more at bewellbykelly.com and follow me on Instagram at bewellbykelly. I would love if you picked up my books, Body Love and Body Love Every Day. They're sold on Amazon and at all major booksellers.